On his journey to gather information and establish a tactical base on the Outer Rim to use against the Mandalorians, Revan discovered stories of a world which was a taboo in Mandalorian culture, Malachor V. As the Mandalorians refused to set foot on it, this planet represented the perfect location for a military base. Revan explored the planet's surface, and here he found the Kreia Academy, a place engulfed in dark side energies. Here, he found evidence that the ancient Sith had once occupied the Kreia Academy, but they abandoned it, meaning they are currently somewhere else. Deeply intrigued by the information he found here, Revan was also troubled. He concluded that the Republic, in its current state, was not prepared to defend itself or the wider galaxy from the return of these ancient Sith. He knew they would return eventually, and he knew he had to prepare the galaxy for that moment in time. Revan believed that a new government, a new rule needed to rise in the place of the Republic, for the Republic, under its current rulership, would never be strong enough to fight back such an invasion. The Republic would need to become a military force which held the power to fight back these ancient Sith once they returned. He had to think far ahead, not just of the current Mandalorian threat. No, the Mandalorians were merely one threat looming on the horizon, and reinstituting the Kreia Academy and building a strong army of his own would be the answer to all the threats that may soon emerge. No price was too high, and Revan willingly submitted to the dark side of the Force, drawing power from it. He proceeded in re-establishing the Kreia Academy in secret and using the dark side to bind the most trusted followers to his will. This ensured they would do his bidding and act as a powerful army of Jedi who will stop at nothing to save the galaxy.
Revan's choices were always his own. It was not teaching or circumstance or example, it was him. And there is something that the Council may never understand, that perhaps Revan never fell. The difference between a fall and a sacrifice is sometimes difficult, but I feel that Revan understood that difference more than anyone knew. The galaxy would have fallen if Revan had not gone to war. Perhaps he became the Dark Lord out of necessity, to prevent a greater evil, someone who was willing to wage war to save others. But that is my belief, since I knew Revan from long ago, as a master knows their apprentice.
Revan did not renounce the Jedi ways, or the Jedi Order. He and Malak continued to battle the Mandalorians in many instances across the known galaxy. One such endeavor took place on the planet Taris, where Revan led a group of Jedi to free slaves who were about to be sold on the slave market. Among these freed slaves was a young Force-sensitive Cathar named Juhani. One of Revan's Jedi advised her to join the Jedi Order, which she did thereafter. They pushed onwards, fighting, until Revan and Malak lost a battle against the Mandalorian Marshal Cassius Fett, the one responsible for the Cathar genocide. This defeat prompted Revan to change his tactics. His orders called for more aggressive action for greater sacrifices. He ordered a large part of his forces, under now General Meetra Surik, to attack the Mandalorian strongholds on Onderon and Duxon. These numerous attacks probed the Mandalorian lines for weaknesses, and Surik carried out his orders, despite her weakened forces. For Surik, this was the most impactful mark of the war she experienced, as the battle on Duxon lasted for months. The Mandalorians were deeply entrenched after decades of fortifying the moon. They were well defended by hidden minefields, traps, anti-air turrets, and the ferocious beasts of the jungle itself. As a result, the battle on Duxon was one of the bloodiest in the entire war. Once the battle was over, the bodies of Republic soldiers and the hulks of fallen spacecraft littered the jungle floor. According to the Mandalorians, the Republic lost many of their forces taking Duxon, and for every Mandalorian soldier who fell, the Republic paid with 10 of theirs. This was where the Mandalorian Wars truly took their toll on Surik. Surik carried out her orders, even though it resulted in the deaths of those who followed them.
If you ask us to charge, will it make a difference? Will our sacrifice mean something?
Most of those left under her command were lost during a desperate charge across a minefield as they attempted to strike at the Mandalorian emplacements. In the end, the countless deaths brought about victory. They retook Onderon and its companion moon, Duxon. These events were paid in blood and losses that would appear unacceptable for any other commander, but this victory would set the stage for the final phases of the war. Once Revan decided that a critical point had been reached and the war's end was drawing near, he ordered the construction of a superweapon known as the Mass Shadow Generator, which had been designed by the Zabrak engineer bao-dur. This device was to serve as a centerpiece of a trap which, once detonated, would eliminate all targets within its vicinity, ending the war once and for all. The device was to be detonated on the planet of Malachor V. Its location was ideal for the task. 3960 before the Battle of Yavin, the Republic fleet established for the task was split in two, one half under the command of Revan, the other under the command of Surik. Surik's forces would serve as bait to draw the Mandalorians into the range of the Mass Shadow Generator, while those under Revan's command would launch a direct assault on Mandalore's flagship. Many of the soldiers and Jedi present at the battle happened to be those who were not big supporters of Revan or his tactics. Some later believed Revan purposefully assigned them to the battle in order to eliminate them. A change of plans occurred, however, when Revan was delayed by a Mandalorian scouting party. His ship arrived in the Malachor system to find a vast battle long underway. With time, Mandalore, the leader of the Mandalorians, realized that defeat was inevitable, and as a final attempt, he decided to challenge Revan to single combat. Revan accepted Mandalore's challenge, and the two engaged in a duel to the death aboard Mandalore's flagship. Mandalore was a powerful opponent, but despite his best efforts, he would eventually be overcome. By the duel's end, Mandalore lay dying at Revan's feet. Mandalore removed his mask, coughing up blood, and began to speak. He told Revan that he had been betrayed. In his dying breaths, Mandalore explained that he had been manipulated by a red-skinned Sith who tricked him to attack the Republic, convinced the Mandalorians would be victorious. Before he died, Mandalore gave Revan the coordinates to the Ice World, where he met this mysterious Sith. Revan took Mandalore's mask, the symbol of Mandalorian leadership, as his spoils of war. He knew that the Mandalorians would be unable to unite again without it. The war was not yet over. The Republic forces and Revan's Jedi continued pushing the Mandalorians closer to Malachor V as planned, and once they were close enough, Surik turned to bao-dur and gave the command.
I remember standing on the bridge with you and watching the destruction of the Republic, watching ships full of soldiers and Jedi burn and die. I remember the look you had when you turned to me. It was the longest you'd ever looked at me. You didn't say anything, just a nod. Events moved quickly then, even in my dreams. Flashes, explosions, you falling. I could feel the pain around me. And then the memory, the drifting hulks of the Mandalorian ships, the dead, allies, friends, strangers. And then the echo, lingering, the sound I awakened to in my nightmares. None of us realized the magnitude of what we unleashed, a slaughter caused by one of my creations.
Revan's vessel was beyond the range of the superweapon as it deployed, and both he and Surik watched in horror as most of the Mandalorian fleet and a large number of Republic vessels were drawn into a massive gravity vortex which obliterated the surface of Malachor V. Malachor V was turned into a broken cluster of planetoids that were only tenuously fused together by the gravitational anomalies present in the system. Orbiting the broken remains of the planet was the wreckage of countless Mandalorian and Republic warships. All that remained on the surface of the planet was a desolate graveyard, echoing with the deaths of thousands of Jedi, Republic soldiers, and Mandalorians. With the planet fractured to its core, thousands died on both sides of the battle. The Mandalorians suffered far greater losses, of course, and in the wake of the devastation, those that remained transmitted their unconditional surrender to the Republic forces and marked the ending of the Mandalorian Wars.